Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting regular council meeting of May the 13th, 2019. Corporate Officer, do we have any late items tonight?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we do have one late item due to a timeline on a program. We are proposing that item 11.7 be added to the agenda regarding Community Energy Leadership Program Expression of Interest, looking for a council champion. That's all.
Thank you. Could I have a councillor bring forward the adoption of the agenda, please, as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Van Elfen, and seconded by Councillor Patton. All in favor? Great. Item 4.2 is public hearing reports. Could I have somebody bring forward the public hearing number 1, 2, and 3, all dated April the 8th of 2019, please? Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That the following public hearing reports be adopted. Public hearing number 1, report dated April 8th, 2019. Public hearing number 2, report dated April 8th, 2019. And public hearing 3, report dated April 8th, 2019.
We'll go back and do that. Thank you, Councillor Van Elfen. Seconded by Councillor Carlson. All in favor? Thank you. Back up a bit. Adoption of minutes from our regular council meeting of April the 8th. Councillor Carlson, Councillor Van Elfen. Call the question. All in favor? Excellent. Okay, now we're quickly on to item 5. I would like to invite Miss Summerland Sage Bedome. Is that how you pronounced your name, Sage? Bedome? And Princesses Verity Taylor and Katrina Kirschman to come forward to take your oaths, please. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to repeat after me, okay? I hereby promise to act as an ambassador for the citizens of Summerland.
I hereby promise to act as an ambassador for the citizens of Summerland.
And conduct myself to the best of my ability as a respectful, trustworthy, and positive leader for the community.
And conduct myself to the best of my ability as a respectful, trustworthy, and positive leader.
I promise to be committed to the role and duties of Summerland royalty.
I promise to be committed to the role and duties of Summerland royalty.
I need you to sign, please. Trina, this is yours to sign. If I could have you sign using this magic silver pen. So you can just turn your back to the audience for just a moment. On behalf of Summerland Council, I would like to congratulate you, Ms. Summerland Sage Bedome. I did it right now. Bedome. And Verity Taylor, Summerland Princess. Thank you. And Katrina, congratulations to all three of you. And you can
Here, here.
Yes, that's a nice way to start the meeting. Thank you so much, ladies. Okay, now on to item 6, public comment opportunity. We have 15 minutes maximum for this portion of our agenda, and I would invite you to come to the podium, maximum of 2 minutes speaking. Please state your name and address as you approach the podium before you begin to speak. Thank you.
As we'll start. Madam Mayor, my name is Rock Forte. I'm the business owner of Maple Rock in Summerland at 13224 Victoria Road in Summerland.
And could we have your street address for your residents, please?
That's 15207 Mellow Road in Summerland.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, Council, because this has been an ordeal for me and my business, I would like to make sure to say it very slowly and loudly so we can be accurate in reporting. I'm not opposing the opening of non-medical cannabis retail shop in Summerland. And let me repeat it, I'm not opposing the opening of non-medical cannabis shop in Summerland. The only point of contention I want to make people aware is a weakness in the lack of public input in the municipal regulation concerning non-medical cannabis. I'm concerned about the unlimited number of non-medical cannabis retail establishments that could open in Summerland, and most troublesome is location of those establishments. I became involved by de facto because many people were afraid to speak out and business owners fear of retaliation. If you don't believe me, just go to the comment section on the online news media. Unfortunately, individuals choose not to read or engage in meaningful conversation to discuss issue or hide behind assumed name. Let's talk. All over BC municipality have a minimum of 300 meters buffer zone from school, park, recreation facilities, and youth-sensitive area. With one small public consultation over a year ago, council voted to have a 50 meters buffer zone. The 50-meter buffer zone can be reduced if council believes it's a benefit to the community. If you ask any responsible cannabis user...
Mr. Fortin, your 2 minutes is up.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, but you need to follow the regulations that are set out. If there's anyone here that would like to carry on with Mr. Fortin's presentation, you're certainly welcome to do that. Otherwise, I would invite anyone else up to the podium.
Hi, good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is Heather McIntyre. I am the agent for the application 11.2 for the subdivision on Landry Crescent for tonight's agenda. I reside at 211 1765 Lecky Road in Kelowna. I just wanted to make a brief comment in support of the application to let Mayor and Council know that the property under the subdivision application is currently under a contract of purchase and sale for the agricultural portion of the property to a local Summerland agriculturalist. And I just wanted to let Council know that the subdivision application in dividing the campground portion away from the agricultural portion will have a much greater benefit to agriculture in the Summerland area in general by allowing the subdivision to proceed with this sale. The sale itself is subject to successful subdivision of the property, and successful subdivision would have a benefit to agriculture in the Summerland area. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Heather.
Hey there, Sergio Power, 13801 60th Avenue, Surrey, BC, and it's, the property address is 14323 Victoria Road North. I just wanted to come up here and kind of, I know there's been a lot of talk about myself and my company and what's kind of going on here in Summerland with me opening up a cannabis store. And to be honest with you, the first day I came out here was quite a shocker from the people that I met and kind of the response I got. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was and as overwhelming as it was, but I had a great response. But I just want to let Rock know, heard a lot about you and some fun stories, I must say, and I can't wait for your brewery to come as well, and I think it's going to be great for the neighborhood there. But we're not just a cannabis company that comes and leases spaces in small towns and kind of makes what we can and get out of here. We invest in every city that we go into, regardless of whether we're in Nanaimo, Merritt, Coquitlam, Vancouver, or Summerland. We invest millions of dollars into each city. The whole building of where the proposed cannabis application has been placed, we purchased the whole building. We have not just leased a unit and expecting to come here. We spent over $750,000 on the unit. We plan over $250,000 on renovations on the interior and the exterior of the building to bring life to the street, to bring life to Summerland. We're well invested into the community, so if you guys think that it's not a good look for the community, for a cannabis store to be there, it's going to affect me just as much as it affects you guys. It's going to affect the other 7 units that I own just as much as it affects you guys. So I want you to know that we're here and we're trying to come here with open arms, and hopefully we're welcoming to the community, and we want to set base here, and we want to work with everybody. We don't want to be against any other cannabis stores. We don't want to be against anybody else. Just like every other community that we've come to, we want to invest.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else, okay, Dave Stathers?
Hello, everyone. Dave Stathers, school trustee, Okanagan Skalha. I'd like to reiterate the school board position on the cannabis store.
Could I interrupt just for your address, please?
Sorry?
For your address in Summerland, please.
I'm not wearing a dress.
For your address.
That was a joke.
Yes.
6360 Victoria Road South.
Thank you.
The school board sent a letter. You asked for input, and the school board is opposed to the new cannabis store for 2 main reasons: the close proximity to Summerland Secondary School and the middle school, less than 2 football fields away from those schools, and the business hours. 11 o'clock at night does not fit in with the downtown area and the norm in those areas, so the access and the business hours. Now, my personal opinion as a school trustee and also a longtime citizen of Summerland is think about this and think carefully. 750 students, 750 within a 3-minute walk, and literally hundreds of senior citizens close by in apartment buildings, a senior center, and so on. Vernon just turned down a cannabis store this week because kids and seniors were close by. No hesitation to do so. I think it's a similar situation here. I think you should think about your 50-meter buffer zone as being unrealistic, more like 300 meters. And I think there's potential locations out by the highway. Certainly cannabis is legal, and we should look at it very, very carefully, but there are other better potential locations, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maria Plymley, 937 McCartney Road. Just continuing on from Rick's letter. So, dear Madame, Mayor, and Council, the submitted petition was solely to check with the downtown business community about their views. Except for 4 businesses that had no position or welcomed the new non-medical cannabis retail shop, the entire remaining retail establishments did not support having cannabis shops so close to our parks, schools, recreation facilities, and youth-sensitive areas. I respectfully request that you slow down the process and the review of this business application until you have a proper open public consultation of where are suitable locations to have non-medical cannabis retail establishments in Summerland. The one-day consultation that took place over 1 year ago needs to be revisited. Your decision today will dictate the future of our downtown for years to come. Once committed to give a single non-medical retail establishment license to operate near a park and school, it will be impossible to stop others to establish themselves in such a youth-sensitive area. Don't forget that edible cannabis is coming online in the fall. I would like to quote Stephen Convoy, "Seek to understand. Please gather all the information before moving forward. It will be your safest road to follow at the present time, and the most of the residents of Summerland will appreciate your wisdom." Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, no, that's fine. Please come forward.
Sunny Gill, 6328 166th Street, Surrey, BC, and I'm one of the partners in the proposed application, and I'm not here to refute anything that was said earlier or to debate anything that has been said. I feel the time for debate was in September, October, and November when there was multiple opportunities for the public to have their input before the bylaws were created. Aside from that, I do want to just point out that the usage among youths after legalization in Washington State and Colorado has actually declined since cannabis was legalized. And as far as location-wise, the closest school is 4 times the buffer zone. And another one I just wanted to correct was, earlier Rock said all municipalities in BC have a 300-meter buffer. That is not true. There's over 200 municipalities in BC. I know for a fact Merritt is 100 meters and Nanaimo is 200 meters. However, the topography of Summerland is quite unique and very different from a lot of the other places. That's all I wanted to put out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, I don't see anyone else coming up to the podium, so we'll move on to item 7, which is my mayor's report. As many of you have heard, on Monday, April the 29th, CAO Linda Tyan resigned from the district. On behalf of council, I would express our well wishes in her future endeavors. I'm very pleased at this time to introduce Ron Matuzzi, who is our interim CAO until the position is filled permanently. This is Ron here, as you can see that it's not Ms. Tynan. Mr. Matuzzi has had many years of experience in local government, most recently as the city manager for 11 years of Kelowna, and 12 years before that as part of the planning department, director of development services there. So welcome, Mr. Matuzzi. We've put him to good work already. The SILGA convention ran the week before, from April the 30th to May the 3rd in Penticton, and councillors attended a variety of sessions on topics ranging from effective intergovernmental relations to the provincial active transportation strategy to emergency preparedness for wildfire and flood risks. As always, the convention was a great learning experience and an invaluable networking opportunity. On Thursday, I left the convention briefly to present at the We for She event hosted by Penn High. We for She events are centered on championing gender equity and inclusiveness and creating positive mindsets. I spoke to a room full of bright and engaged young men and women about my experiences with being a woman of color in leadership. Friday and Saturday evenings, I attended Summerland's Blossom Pageant. You met our new royalty a few minutes ago. The candidates and their Blossom Buds, which are grades 4 and 5, and gosh, they're cute. They're cute young ladies. We're so talented and entertaining. I was delighted to say a few words as well as present the outgoing royalty with bouquets. These 3 women have served Summerland so well over the last year. So thanks again to Olivia Kaur, Miss Summerland, Jessica O'Gorman, and Tiana Ferlisa, our 2 princesses. And also, although they've left the room already, a deep thanks to the mentors and organizers who work with these candidates for so many months. On Sunday, May the 5th, I attended the 74th Victory in Europe, VE Day ceremony, which was held out at the Canyon View Cemetery. This annual commemoration places candles on Summerland grave sites of war veterans, and the candles burn through the night. They burn for 24 hours. Monday evening, Council and I attended the solar and battery project update at Center Stage, including the preferred site for the project. The district is getting very close to beginning the procurement stage of the project, and more can be found on our website at summerland.ca/solar. I spent Tuesday, May the 7th in Kelowna at the joint Okanagan Basin Water Board and Water Stewardship Council meeting. It was a planning session, strategic planning session. There were lots of interesting presentations and discussion. And later this evening, there's an item in our correspondence that's attached to the agenda that I'll be bringing forward, asking for the support of council. The next day, I drove to Vancouver to participate in the BC Land Summit. So that was Wednesday. I was asked to be a panelist for 2 sessions on Friday about food systems. On Thursday, I attended sessions on wildfire suppression and how to better manage forests to protect our watersheds, habitat, and public safety. Then on Saturday, May 11th, I spoke at the May Day celebration in Penticton. Councillor Holmes was also in attendance. And then at the grand opening of the District of Peachland's Fishing Pier. It's like our Summerland skate park that is having its grand opening next month. The pier is a fantastic example of what can be accomplished when community groups collaborate with local government. The Summerland Fish Hatchery, so our fish hatchery, also contributed to that project. Then on Saturday evening, I attended the Museum Lobster Dinner fundraiser at the Anglican Church. Excellent food, great silent and live auction for a good cause. And Councillor Barkle was there as well. Thank you. CAO.
Thank you, Council. Needless to say, given the brevity of my stay here, I've received a number of things from staff, but I'll just hit some of the highlights. I think probably the most important is that property tax notices will be mailed out just May 21st. Earth Week 2019 was very successful with a record amount of recycling diverted from the landfill and well-attended events. Staff will be bringing a full report to Council on May 27th. The Solar Plus Solar Storage Project meeting was held on May 6th, attended by over 100 people, including staff and council. Preliminary results were positive, but again, staff will be bringing forward a complete report. As a reminder as well from the Sustainable Alternative Energy Coordinator, May 27th to June 2nd is Go by Bikes Week. I can tell you, Council, it's a long way to Kelowna, so I'm informing you now. I may get off in Peachland and ride in or something. But residents are encouraged to use their bicycles to get to work and school and go shopping, otherwise travel through the community. And domestic water meters, probably one of the more important items on the agenda. Staff will be going out to the public to coordinate that with Neptune, the contract for the domestic water meters. And the estimates should start by mid-July. So that contract has been signed. So that's it, Your Worship, and I'll wade into more stuff at the next report.
Thank you. Okay. On to item 9, business arising from Committee of the Whole and closed sessions. Jeremy Deniker, please.
Yep, so coming first from the Committee of the Whole earlier today, this is for Council to consider adopting. It's a recommendation from the Committee of the Whole. It's that staff be directed to cancel the Summerland removal and replacement of 3 playgrounds, request for proposals, RFP 2019-008, and that staff seek additional playground project funding sources and provide playground priorities and options to Council.
Moved by Councillor Carlson, seconded by Councillor Holmes. Any further discussion on this item? Councillor Carlson.
Just a note that it means that we're going to create some better playgrounds over a well-thought-out and planned-out period in Summerland. That was the gist of that conversation that we had today, and so hopefully we can get that process moving quickly.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that we're not canceling that, we're proceeding. Great. So any other comments on that? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? And none opposed. And the second one?
The second one is just for the public record. In the closed session earlier today, council passed a resolution that the following item and the resolution be released from the closed session of council that was held on February 27th, 2019. So all the records relating to this as they were in the agenda will be released on the website. It's that the solar site selection for the site at 13500 Prairie Valley Road and 12591 Morrow Street, Denike Street, be identified as the prime potential location of the Summerland Solar Plus Storage Project, and that community engagement regarding the preferred site be initiated, and further that staff be requested to proceed with detailed analysis and design of the site at 13500 Prairie Valley Road for the Summerland Solar Plus Storage Project. So that will be posted on our website along with other records related to it.
Okay. So no need to bring that forward again, that's just for the record.
For the record.
Thank you. Okay, on to item 11, the business items. 11.1, Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch referral for an application for a non-medical cannabis retail store at 13203 Victoria Road North. And I'll pass this off to our planner. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The district has received a referral from the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch for a non-medical cannabis retail outlet to be located at 13203 Victoria Road North. The proposed location meets the requirement of having a 50-meter distance from any sensitive locations and has a 100-meter buffer area from the nearest park. Upon receipt of the referral, staff undertook public notification in accordance with Council Policy 300.6. A notification sign was posted on the property on April 23rd, 2019, and a newspaper article ran on May 2nd, 2019. Bless you. Both forms of notification invited feedback in writing and informed the public that it would be considered at this meeting. The store is proposed in a vacant office space on Victoria Road North. The proposed hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., which is consistent with the proposed hours for another supported non-medical cannabis retail store. The proposed location has been referred to the RCMP and the school district. The school board, at their meeting of April 29th, 2019, passed a motion that recommended that council not support the application, the wording of which is included in the referral comment section of the staff report. The applicant will need to apply for a building permit for a change of use as it is currently permitted as office space and will need to be certified for retail occupancy. As the proposal is consistent with the zoning bylaw and meets the requirements of applicable policies, staff recommend that referral LCRBC 19-001 be supported and that staff be directed to forward the subject application to the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll open it to questions in just a moment. Corporate Officer, do we have any more correspondence on this matter?
Yes, thank you. We have received 4 pieces of correspondence that received after the agenda was published. 2 are letters in opposition to the application, one of them from Del Reimer and one of them from Rock Fortin. These should be on your table there. 2 other letters were received, both of them voicing that they would like to retract previous correspondence that is in the agenda package, but it is already published. So from Dion Bakalos, she's requested that both a personal and business letter be withdrawn, and another letter from Aaron Rocher saying that he is they are no longer opposed to the application.
Thank you for that. Council, any questions of our planner? Councillor Carlson.
Would you be able to clarify do you know how far away from the schools this location actually is?
Thank you to the Mayor. It is approximately 200 meters from the parcel boundary of the high school and approximately 260 meters from the parcel boundary of the middle school, and that's a straight line, not walkable distance.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Van Alphen.
Just out of curiosity, and I imagine we could pull it up on GPS or whatever, how far would the middle school boundary be from the cold beer and wine store in Rosedale? Any idea?
Perch?
The Perch liquor store.
Just a moment, I have that up right here. To the mayor, it is approximately 200 meters from that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Traynor.
I just wanted to clarify as well that smoking marijuana is covered under our smoking bylaws, which ban smoking in parks, swimming areas, beaches, and other district-owned walkways. Is that correct?
To the mayor, the use of cannabis in any of those locations is banned provincially.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it has been worked into the non-smoking bylaw of the district, but provincially, smoking cannabis in parks, beaches, or places where children are reasonably expected to congregate is not permitted.
Thank you. Could I, do you have a follow-up question? I have a follow-up question to Councillor Traynor's. The provincial clean air bylaw, they've extended that some time ago, I think, from 3 meters to 6 meters outside of establishments. Does this fall under that as well, the provincial 6 meters for smoking anything?
Madam Mayor, I would assume so, but I apologize, I am not sure.
Okay. Councillor Van Alphen.
Thank you. And just in, with the last statement made with the smoking of the product on our park streets, or it's the same laws, if I'm not mistaken, as alcohol. You can't have open alcohol in public areas. You can't walk down the street with an open beverage.
Right.
And I think the law is the same for the cannabis. You can't light up anywhere you want. It's a product that you purchase at a store and take back to your place of residence, I would assume. Same as alcohol.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
Yeah, just one more question. The hours, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., is that something that is also provincially, is that part of the licensing act? Or is that something that can be changed, or is that the maximum, I guess?
Madam Mayor, I do believe that is the maximum span that is permitted.
And same for liquor stores?
I believe so, yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Councillor Van Alphen?
It's not, I believe it is, it's a question, but it's possibly a statement. I believe the laws around purchasing alcohol at a privately owned liquor vendor is 19 years of age, and I believe the same laws apply to a cannabis location. So if you're a private liquor vendor, you would want to be pretty diligent to make sure you're not serving people that are underage, and I believe with this product, I think the same would apply, because if you're caught, you're going to lose your license and at a huge expense. So, thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any other, Councillor Carlson.
I would bring a motion for...
Oh, thank you.
It's extremely long. Would you like me to read the whole thing?
Yes, I would, please. Sorry.
Ready?
You can do this.
Okay. I will move that council pass the following resolution. The council directs staff to forward the following recommendation to the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch, and that in accordance with Section 331 of the Cannabis Control and Licensing Act, council recommends support of an application from 1135648 BC Ltd. for a proposed non-medical retail cannabis location at 13203 Victoria Road North, Summerland, BC, for a non-medical cannabis retail license with operating hours from 9 a.m. till 11 p.m. 7 days a week. And further, that council comments are as follows. A, the property is located in the downtown core commercial area and is located adjacent to commercial properties. B, no negative impact on the community is anticipated if the application is approved, as the use is permitted in the zoning. C, council provide opportunity for residents to provide their views on, provided opportunity for residents to provide their views on the license application. Public notice indicated that municipal council would accept written comments on the application until May 13th, 2019, and this was published in the Summerland Review on May 2nd, 2019, posted on the municipal website and advertised in a sign posted on the storefront at 13203 Victoria Road North from April 23rd until council considered the application on May 13th. The views of the residents were considered by council and attached to the agenda of May 13th, 2019, regular council meeting, or delivered as late items if correspondence was received after the agenda was published.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Van Alphen. Councillor Barkwell.
Yes, if I could, Madam Mayor, I'd like to share with council some information. I was listening to the CBC and then make some comments. They had some experts on the CBC radio the other day, and they were advising there's a new tax regime that would be $1 a milligram for the active ingredient a penny a milligram for the tax on cannabis in the hash oil, and that this would work out to $10 a gram, which at the retail level would be about $60 or $70 after all the other taxes and distribution costs and markups. Currently, you get about on the street, maybe the park in Summerland, maybe the high school, it costs about $20 a gram. So I don't think that the students in Summerland are going to be hanging around outside the cannabis store looking for somebody to bootleg them some hash. It's just not the way the world works. The other thing I would like to comment on is that there was a marijuana store near where I parked at work. I see people going in and out all the time, and the people going in and out of that store all the time look like all the people at this council table. I've
never been there.
Okay, not at that it's the equivalent to alcohol in our world today, and I don't view that whether it's 50 meters, 250 meters, or 300 meters from a school, that it's going to have any impact at all to the students. The students that they wanted, they can get it now, and it's just of zero impact. I think other communities might have a larger boundary, but just because it's no difficulty for them because they're larger communities. So I'll be supporting the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Barkwell. Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to, I'll support the motion as well. I read all the submissions and listened to all the concerns, and so I'd just like to address a few of those that were raised. One, in respect that about the public engagement was over a year ago. That was done very intentionally to do that public engagement before legalization was in place, us knowing it was coming, and it was a full public engagement we would do for any new policy or bylaw. We had an open house. There was plenty of opportunity for people to make their comments at the time, and it was important to do it at that time so that it didn't become about a specific store or a specific person, that we had a policy we could follow, and this application follows that policy. Picking up on what Councillor Barkwell said there, I think cannabis is something new, and we're not really sure what the fallout of it's going to be, but it has become legalized, and it is a controlled substance, as alcohol and cigarettes are, and I think we need to consider it in much like alcohol and cigarettes, and you can purchase both alcohol and cigarettes in this community at the same distance from schools as what this is being proposed. So I think we need to think of it in those terms. And in respect to the school board's concerns that the store will be open till 11, again, we have Summerland, it might be a quiet community, but it's not completely dead. We have liquor stores, grocery stores, gas stations, convenience stores. They're all open till 11. And so it's again, it's no different in that respect. And, you know, personally, I don't know how many cannabis stores, retail stores Summerland will be able to support. Maybe there'll be a shakeout, but I don't think it's up to council to pick the winners and losers. I think it's up to the free market, so.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Councillor Carlson.
Just want to make a quick comment on the investment and the idea that we would not welcome people to our community to open a business. I think that we should welcome people from out of our community into this town to invest and to help our community grow. And some may see cannabis as perhaps not their preferred choice of industry, but I think there's more to it than that, and there will be other businesses that will come along as well, and that Summerland should be welcoming to foreign investment, outsider investment, whatever we want to call it, because it may not have come straight from Summerland, but it's here now, so I think that's a very good thing.
Thank you, Councillor Carlson. Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe that this application has met all the criteria in which we've set out for land use. And I find it that for us to go against what we have already approved, in theory, before we had one being offered downtown, I think that we're going against, if we were going to go this route, we should have discussed this prior to today. And I feel that the land use is set, and we're really, it's somewhat of a moot point. And I will be supporting this motion.
Councillor Traynor?
Many of the points I was going to make already, Councillor Holmes touched on, but I do think that the public had an opportunity to comment, and I think it was sufficient. I think that we have a liquor store that's relatively close to the high school. We have cigarettes being sold at gas stations and convenience stores. And you have to be 19 to buy it. It's the same with cannabis. I think that, you know, kids will do what they're going to do, and I think that we have to give them, you know, proper education and let them decide for themselves, just like we all decide for ourselves how we choose to live. For me, it's important that we have smoking bylaws so that you can't smoke in parks and around playgrounds and stuff like that, and we do have that, and then it's also regulated by the province, so I feel pretty confident in that. And also, my final point was there's a microbrewery going across the street, which I'm really excited about, so I think that those, you know, this business flows with the other ones downtown, and I hope it'll be a really good thing.
Thank you, Councillor Traynor. And Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too will be supporting this application. Again, it's a controlled substance. I believe it's, you know, it's going to be regulated by the province. The laws have changed. It is now a product that can be sold to people that are 19 years of age and older. The government has put in their regulations. I believe the storefronts are pretty, you know, covered up, so you're not staring into these stores, and you know, it's like, to me, it's no different than alcohol. It's no different than cigarettes. I mean, it's a sign of the times, and I would prefer eventually that the youth or 19 years of age and older would purchase from a government location. For the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of product out there on the streets today that it's tainted, and people are dying from it, you know, because of the, you know, the fentanyl and this type of thing. So I think it's a safer alternative for people, and that's why I'll be supporting it. Thank you.
Well, I guess it's my turn to weigh in, and it appears that we're going to have unanimous support for this resolution that's on the table. I agree with what Councillor Holmes said and Councillor Traynor in the fact that there was a process before we developed our policy. There was ample opportunity for people to voice their dissent to this or to voice their opposition. And I recall very clearly how surprised we were that there wasn't more of a, an uptake on that, the opportunity to voice your opinion one way or the other. So that is done, and the policy has been written, and we are, like Councillor Patton said, we are following the policy. And personally, we often hear, and council bears the brunt of this, that we have a dead downtown and so many people are leaving, there's so many empty storefronts, and on and on and on. To turn away a retail establishment, regardless of what it is, that fits into our downtown and follows our policies, seems like a hypocritical thing to do. And it would be against what we have spent hours and hours on discussing, and staff has worked so hard to bring those policies forward. So I will be voting in favor of this resolution as well. Alrighty, call the question. All in favor? And none opposed. Thank you. So that is carried.
Thanks, Ken. So I'm gonna have the mouse.
People time to skedaddle.
Thanks. Just use that. Let's just use the mousey pointer. Thanks.
All right, on to 11.2, subdivision in the ALR at 4500 Landry Crescent. Over to Manager Planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This next application is for subdivision in the ALR at a property located at 4500 Landry Crescent. This property is in the Trout Creek neighborhood, and all of us familiar with that area, you can see in the location plan, is comprised of, it's one contiguous parcel, and you can see I've got the pointer on the screen showing what looks like two portions of property, when in fact it's one hooked parcel. This parcel is approximately 17.8 hectares in area. The smaller portion to the north that you can see currently being used as a campground is 2.6 hectares, and the remaining agricultural portion of this property is approximately 15.2 hectares. Now, the OCP designation for the entire contiguous parcel is agriculture. It's within both the entire parcels within the ALR. The agricultural portion of the land is in the A1 zone, and the smaller portion currently within being used as a campground is in the CT2 campground zone. This campground was permitted by resolution by the ALC in 1985 to operate as a campground, and further to that, in 2011, the applicant actually applied to the ALC again to subdivide this hooked parcel into two separate parcels, and that resolution was also passed by the Agricultural Land Commission, as they felt it wouldn't have an undue impact on the ability of either portion to be used for in the future or for agriculture. The conditions applied in 2011 to that subdivision were that the construction of a fence for the purpose of limiting trespassing onto adjoining agricultural and agricultural land, for separating those two uses, be constructed. And if you look at the property, there is chain link fence that has been installed along the entire frontage of this parcel to separate it from the ag portion. And in addition, that the subdivision be completed within the 3 years. Now, that expired March 17th of 2011, and the applicant didn't pursue subdivision at that time. This application is that same application again, to subdivide those two portions of land. Kevin, do we have another? You can see here the two portions of land. Lot A is one contiguous piece, and they are hooked parcels, so it's one contiguous parcel. The Landry Road was constructed, I believe, 2016. All the works and services were installed to service this lot to the north, which is currently within the multifamily RMH zone. Medium density residential zone along this portion. This is a separate portion from the agriculture and the campground portion. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we get any more correspondence on this? No. Okay. Questions? Councillor Barkwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This application kind of confuses me. How did the applicant or the owners of the land get permission to use 2.7 hectares as campground on agricultural land to begin with? Because I compare it to, like, say, the 5% you're allowed to use now for recreational tourism. It's certainly more than that. Do you know anything about that history?
Well, that was an application specifically to the ALC in 1985, and they passed a resolution number 519/85 to allow the campsite to be constructed on the property, and it's been in existing like that since that time.
So it fit their policies at the time or something, I guess, or?
Yes.
And then, so what is the risk here? I mean, you use it, so it wasn't ever expected that it would be a temporary use or anything?
I think Madam Mayor, I think at the time they felt the campground would be a temporary use and that it was intended to be seasonal in nature, and all of the recreational vehicles upon that land are movable. They're not permanent structures affixed to the ground, anchored to the ground in any way. They are intended to be temporary, and that's why the Agricultural Land Commission considered that the future use of this piece of land could still be used for agriculture.
So is there a difference here between, I mean, it seems like you could take a portion of your land, use it under the permitted use for a while, subdivide that piece off, then use another piece for campsites for a while, then subdivide that off. I mean, the commission didn't look at it as sort of a creep on the land reserve, obviously not in the previous application. Yeah. But it certainly appears that way then.
Councillor Barkwell, if I could just interrupt for a moment. I'm not sure that the Agricultural Land Commission application in 1985 is really what's before us now. We have to deal with the fact that we have a large agricultural piece and then the campsite that's separated from that.
I was just trying to get the history as we always do for this creep issue. Thank you.
I got it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Carlson.
I'm wondering if you know whether there's any current, due to the fact that there's already quite a large portion assigned for campground, which is residential, if there's any current restriction on building on the rest of that land, which currently doesn't have any, there's a couple of small sheds, doesn't have any large permanent structures, homes, wineries, packing houses, anything like that on it. Do you know if there's because it's all one, if it's already maxed out on its amount of build-out?
Madam Mayor, on the CT2 portion, the campground portion, they do have capacity to add an additional up to 24 units, I understand, of RV spots on that site. As well, the applicant intends to improve parking on the site for visitors to be fully contained on that site. And that we heard from the applicant that they have an accepted offer on the southern agricultural portion of the land.
Right, so if they stay together as one, is there an opportunity to build something else on the portion that currently doesn't have anything built on it? Do you know?
The large parcel is within the A1 zone, so any of the uses that would be permitted within the A1 zone would be permitted on that zone. So they're separated by...
They treat it as a completely different parcel already, even though it's, like, within the ALR, it's treated as two parcels, even though it's one parcel.
Madam Mayor, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Both parcels are within one contiguous
So if I were the
parcel.
one to purchase it, I could go and build a house and my worker housing and my winery and everything on that property today, and then I could also own the campsite as all as one property, or I could just buy the farm and do the same thing.
Madam Mayor, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and this still has to go to the Agricultural Land Commission, and ultimately it's their decision, so we'll see how that plays out. Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, I'd just like to follow up the thinking of both with a couple questions. One regarding what Councillor Carlson was saying, one picking up on Councillor Barkwell's thread. So does that property have a a farm plate right now? I mean, that's,
Madam Mayor, farm plate hasn't been established for the agricultural portion yet.
so they would have to establish one if they want to.
That's correct.
Okay. And secondly, so, you know, in terms of the campground, you know, I guess the question is what's to become of it? You know, it says that they won't apply to have it removed from the ALR, but then they want to add all these extra trailer spots and everything like that. So how does that work?
That's good. Madam Mayor, that's a bit of a difficult question. The property is currently in compliance with the CT2 zone with respect to being used as a campground, and they do have additional capacity to be used as a campground. However, enforcement of or regulation of that land still sits with the ALC.
Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, just one further question. Do we know why in 2011 that they didn't pursue the subdivision at that time?
Madam Mayor, we don't have a full picture as to why it wasn't pursued at that time. We do know that there were previously 2 or more owners on this parcel and the parcel to the north within the medium-density residential zone, and just recently, through legal agreement, have separated those 2 parcels or those 2 legal entities so as to be able to sell off either portion.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions, and then Councillor Van Alphen. If this goes forward to the Agricultural Land Commission and they agree to allow that subdivision and a home plate is established, because that is, at least there's a fair bit of water in there. I'm not sure about environmental sensitivities. But will that work have to be done as well, or not necessarily because it's agricultural land? Like, would they have to apply for a watercourse development permit or an environmental permit, development permit?
Madam Mayor, the only portion of land subject to the watercourse development permit is that 30 meters of land adjacent to Okanagan Lake. The agricultural portion of land is not within the DPA.
Okay.
They would have to give consideration to their minimum basement flood elevation level when constructing buildings. The farm plate, the farm home plate would be established at the building permit stage.
Yes.
If this application is successful to the ALC, they will require a subdivision application, and at that point, we would have the opportunity to determine what works and services would be necessary or be required in order to finalize this application process to subdivide. So there's still essentially 2 processes that the applicant would need to go through following a successful application for the separation of these lots.
Good, thank you. I have one question about the application itself, so about the referral document that's being submitted. In that referral document, on the 3rd page, the 2nd paragraph, well, it says, item 2, quantify and describe in detail all agricultural improvements made to the parcels. The last sentence there says, there is also, as well as a registered heritage sod-roofed cabin that will be relocated to a property owned by the District of Summerland in 2019. I just wanted to get your recollection of that discussion, and also council's recollection of that discussion, because I'm not sure that we agreed to use district land to relocate the sod cabin.
That's a good question, Madam Mayor. The only information, and I looked into this building as it came up today, the only information that we have on it is that we don't formally have a heritage registry in Summerland, as we all know. It may be federally registered building, and they would need to meet the conditions of that federal registry with respect to relocation or improvements. As far as we know, the records that we have, and I asked internal staff, was that it was built in 1890, that it's a sod-roofed building, and that was about all the information that we've got on it, so with respect
I
to
believe it
relocation...
is in the registry. I'm not sure if it's federal or provincial. Maybe someone on council can remind me. Councillor Barkwell.
Well, I was the representative for our Heritage Commission, and this building came up for discussion quite a few times. We've looked at it, we've had many discussions about what possibilities for it, but there's never been any decisions as far as I know. And no, I think the only registered heritage site we have in Summerland is the gardens for the Riga house, which is not even a building, it's the gardens.
Right.
So,
So it doesn't come as a surprise to anybody else on council that we are donating land for the sod. Councillor Holmes. It's a surprise to me.
I noted this too when I read it, and I thought, you know, I faintly recollect it being mentioned kind of in passing that this was kind of being looked at, but no, certainly we didn't discuss it, we didn't make any decision, and when I read this, I had two questions. Okay, what land is it being moved to, and who's going to pay for it?
Yeah. So I don't know, Councillor Traynor.
I don't think we ever made a decision. The last that I recall is, I think that we perhaps directed staff to do a little bit of research on it or possibilities, but that never, we never went forward from there.
I don't know if it makes any difference to the application, except that that is not, it's not an accurate statement, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it goes.
Yeah, Your Worship, my suggestion is that that become part of the motion, regardless of what council does, to clarify that the District of Summerland does not have an agreement to do this, and this has to be pointed out, just because the ALC should know that as well.
That's
That'd be
a good way
about
to
the
solve
most
it.
appropriate way.
Okay. Thank you for that. Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do have a question, if I may, to our planning department. Do we have a definition of a campsite for an RV park? Because if I'm not mistaken, is this site not used as a mobile, more like a mobile home park year-round than a campsite facility? And if it is, does that does that have any significance with, as we move forward with, to go to the Agricultural Land Commission?
Madam Mayor, our definition within the zoning bylaw is campground means the use of a lot occupied and maintained for the temporary accommodation of the traveling public in tents and recreational vehicles, but not manufactured housing. There is, we understand, there has been a legal challenge on this property as there was a proposed eviction for one of its long-term tenants and on the property that was living permanently in one of the units, and that was overruled, I guess, in the courts, allowing through the BC tenancy branch allowed for the long-term permanent residency within one of the units, and that has allowed a number of the residents to live on site on a permanent basis.
Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, if I may. If this were to perhaps proceed, is there a change of use that would have to then accompany the RV sites, the campsite itself, or would it maintain as a RV site in perpetuity when it's used for other than the defined term in our zoning bylaw?
I'm going to turn that over to Kevin. Kevin's did a little bit of history on this one.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Supreme Court of BC did rule that the existing use was covered under existing nonconformity. So as long as the use continues, the use will be permitted to continue until such time that it ceases for a period of 6 months or longer. The other issue that was brought up in a legal opinion in 2012 was that the zoning bylaw lacks a appropriate definition of temporary, which is used in the definition of campground. So there's nothing to enforce temporary basis at the moment, but we will be looking into that as we continue to look into drafting the new zoning bylaw going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good point, Councillor Patton. Councillor Bockwell.
Yes, when we approved the campground use for property off Highway 40, I think I remember clearly that we said, 30 days or less. Was that specific to that location, or is that in the bylaw?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That was a site-specific zoning that I believe also started out as a temporary use permit on that lot, and it was specifically mentioned that it was 30 days. Thank you.
Yeah, good one. Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question through the staff. Has our fire department, has our fire department had an opportunity to look at the layout of these possible new lots? I mean, it's quite congested in there as it is, and we're going to add 25?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
Currently, the campground is within its permitted density in the zoning bylaw, and we do not have a campground permit or campground permitting scheme, policy, or bylaw in place at the time that would trigger that, and building permits are not required for campground spaces. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Holmes.
Thank you. I just want to return to the sod roof cabin for a moment. If we're going to add something, I say if the property owner is prepared to pay to relocate it, I think this is a great opportunity, and we should certainly encourage it. So I don't want us to word, however we word it, to make it sound like it's a negative, because it could potentially be a great benefit for us.
Oh, God.
I think that, Jerry, you've come up with something? Are we ready to bring this onto the floor? Great.
Yeah, I don't think I reflected what Councillor Holmes said right now. It was more that the commitment hasn't been made.
Right. Sorry?
The district would be interested in...
I think what corporate officer is talking about is, at this point, it's just a statement. The council's not made that commitment. And certainly, council could therefore add, however, should the owner wish to find a suitable site or something along that lines, then council would be amenable to consider that in future. But I think the most important part is that that commitment is not actually there, because the land commission may believe it is, right?
Councillor Traynor?
I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but the building does have some cultural significance for Summerland, for sure. While that line does need to be taken out because we haven't made any commitments, is there a way that we can get notification from the property owner if they plan to do anything with it? Like if it just sits there for a while longer, fine, but is there a way to put that in at all? That they just, I guess, first right of refusal or something, just so that we have the opportunity at that time to make a decision?
Well, my understanding is that our former CAO had conversations, and I don't remember the woman's name now. I have it written down somewhere. So she had conversations with her, and at that point, they recognized that it was of cultural significance, and then it was registered. But they were looking to the district to find a site so that they could move it. And then I'm not sure where it went from there. There wasn't any follow-up on that. So I'm not sure if that's been delegated to someone else on staff or where it is. But again, it's my understanding that we didn't actually have that discussion on whether or not we would use district-owned property to house it. I certainly agree with both of the things that you're saying, or what both of you are saying. However, I don't think that statement, we can send this forward supporting a statement that just is not true. Yeah. Okay, Corporate Officer, do you have something there for us?
Okay. So just to add on to the recommended resolution there, so it would be, and that it be noted that the district has not committed to permit the relocation of the registered heritage sod-roofed cabin onto district property at this time.
Do you want to add something to that could come forward for more discussion, or?
Or council would welcome the opportunity to discuss further or explore the opportunity? Something like that, yeah.
Council Barkwell.
Isn't the usual wording that council directs staff to discuss the opportunities for relocation with?
Come back with a staff report?
Yes.
But this is for the ALC.
No, this is, but it's in addition to our motion.
Could do it as an and further that.
Yeah. Staff discuss the opportunities. That's pretty open.
I'll give you a second and then.
Give you more work.
Yeah, makes sense. So, as stated, and further that staff be directed to explore opportunities for relocation of the sod roof.
But isn't this like this is our reference to the ALC? So why would the ALC care that we're directing staff to explore opportunities? I think, shouldn't we make it, say to the ALC that we would, that we don't want, that we want the ALC to know that no agreement has been in place, but that we would welcome one, right? That's the message we want to give the ALC, and that's the purpose of this motion here. It's not for us to, we can make another motion if we want, but right?
What would you suggest, CAO?
Yeah, Your Worship, I would, as Councillor Holmes just stated, I would deal with the referral and then a second motion to staff to approach the owner and see if there's in fact a way we can deal with it. Keep the two separate. Although, again, assuming that in the ALC referral, you could still say that council's amenable. You don't want to necessarily make the ALC, if you state that there is no deal, that there couldn't be a deal. I think that's the important issue, but it's not one that's in place. So I think that was covered. Is that covered?
Yep.
Councillor Holmes, you're okay with bringing that forward as two separate resolutions, or?
Sure.
Yes?
Okay, so move that council support the application being forwarded to the Agricultural Land Commission for a subdivision of 4500 Landry Crescent, legally described as Lot A, District Lots 477, 508, ODYD Plan KAP 80862, except Plan KAP 821490, to unhook the a 2.6 hectare and 15.7 hectare lot, and further that, Jeremy, what'd you say?
And then further that it be noted that the district has not committed to permit the relocation of the registered heritage sod-roofed cabin onto district property. However, the district may be open to this option in the future.
Yeah, we're just open to the option.
Okay.
Okay. Councillor Carlson, you're seconding? Great. Any further discussion on this item? I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Councillor Barkman's opposed. So that carries. Okay, item 11.3, ALC non-adhering residential use for an additional residence for farm worker accommodation at 28411 Garnet Valley Road.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The district has received a referral from the Agricultural Land Commission for the consideration of a non-adhering residential use for farm worker accommodation at 28411 Garnet Valley Road. A little bit of history is February 22nd, the ALR General Regulation and ALR Use Regulation were approved enacting the changes to the ALC Act. Since these regulations were brought into effect, the ALC has been required to approve all applications for all dwelling units in excess of one single detached dwelling not exceeding 500 square meters of gross floor area. This means that all second dwellings, including dwellings for farm workers, must be approved by the ALC. Applicants must apply for a non-adhering residential use, which follows the same process as non-farm use applications. The land is currently operating as a vineyard with approximately 5 acres of grapes planted, a 1-acre orchard, several nut trees, and an organic garden. According to the professional agrologist, 1 farm worker is required for every 5 acres of fruit trees or grapes due to the intensity of labor required for tending to vines. The farm in its present state would require 1 farm worker and would see a second needed when the operation expands. This is the proposed location for the 85.8 square meter modular home, which is sited within the 1,500 square meter farm home plate and would result in a home plate coverage of approximately 27%. 35% is the permitted coverage for a farm home plate. The proposed dwelling is a manufactured home that meets the requirements of the zoning bylaw for farm worker accommodation. The zoning bylaw limits gross floor area to 110 square meters, where this unit is 85.8 square meters. Limits the sleeping units to 3, where this one contains 2, and may not exceed 4.5 meters or 1 story in height. This is a standard measurement for single-story manufactured homes and will be confirmed at time of building permit. As the proposal is consistent with the zoning bylaw and has been recommended by a professional agrologist, staff recommends that council support the application and direct staff to forward the application for a non-adhering residential use to the ALC for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
I have a question about enforcement of the rules regarding who gets to live in these farm worker facilities. I know that there's a new rule in the ALC Act, and it means that this application is costing the applicant $1,500. And the purpose is to basically let the Land Commission determine if these farmers require extra help. So my question is, if these farmers require extra help, however, the home that they're building is being used for someone who's not working on the farm, which we all know happens throughout this community and throughout this province, who is enforcing that farm workers are living in these facilities, and what can the province do, the ALC do, versus what can the municipality do? Because it's, I just wonder who's enforcing the rules.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There are actually multiple options for enforcement in this case. Under the zoning bylaw, the district may put a covenant on the dwelling, indicating that it is for farm workers only and must be decommissioned if it's no longer being used for that purpose. Also, the zoning bylaw states that the permitted use is farm worker accommodation, and if there's any contravention, the district could ticket under the ticketing bylaw. Also, the ALC enforcement, now that this is an ALC approval, will be able to enforce the ALC Act on the property. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question about this particular application. Understanding that the ALC is now deciding on farmer accommodation, so a second residence on the property. Unless it has changed since last July, there is already a separate, I guess, what do you call them, secondary dwelling, another dwelling on the property that is being used as a B&B. And I know this because my niece has been out here for the last 2 years and has stayed at that B&B on this property. So I'm wondering if, perhaps that building has been removed, or not. And I'm wondering how, if this goes along with Councillor Carlson's question, what kind of enforcement there might be if there already is, potentially, a building that's being used as a B&B, which is residential, but obviously temporary residential. I wonder how that might impact this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. According to the applicant, there are 3 buildings on the site right now. A main house at about 2,600 square feet, 1 winery with an office, and 1 garage shop. It has not been declared by the applicant that there is a second dwelling on the property. However, the ALC generally, for non-farm use applications, perform site visits, and in this case, they would determine whether or not there's a second dwelling on the property, and would likely not permit a third under the Act.
Great, that satisfies me with that answer. Did you have something else? Yeah.
Just to add to that, I think it's important that my understanding from listening to the presentation at the RDOS that was presented by the ALC is that the $1,500 submission is made, however, it's the first couple hundred that goes locally, and then $1,200 goes to the ALC if we forward this to them. So if we, around this table, believe that the ALC, that there's merit to this application, and that this farm really does need this extra housing, and they don't have enough accommodation on site right now for their potential employees, then we should forward it onwards. But the alternative would be to save the applicant $1,200 and ask them to reconsider. But I don't know anything about their bed and breakfast, so I'm not really sure. I'm kind of stuck on that one.
Councillor Van Elfen.
Well, in the report given earlier by our planning department, it stated that they hired an agrologist to do a summary of the property, and the agrologist identified that they could use one full-time farm help per 5 acres, and possibly another one in the future if it grows more. So I have to go with the agrologist report, and we can forward this on. It's not our cost, it's their cost. If the ALC comes onto the property and discovers that there's other non-permitted uses at this point in time, I guess that's their job. And the thing is, like, once this accommodation is located on the farm, you could have someone living there 12 months a year for the next 20 years. Is he helping you on the farm? Yep. Prove me different.
Oh, my niece doesn't, but... Okay, any other questions of our planner? No? Could I have someone bring this forward then, please? Anyone? Councillor Van Elfen.
That council support the application ALC 19-002 being forwarded to the Agricultural Land Commission for an additional residence for farm worker accommodations.
Seconder, Councillor Barlow. Any further discussion on this? Councillor Carlson.
I guess it's just a bit of a thing. I don't know if the landowners work full-time on their farm. I know there's a lot of landowners in Summerland that don't work full-time on their farm, that do have farm worker accommodation, that don't lease it out or don't use it for farm workers because the land is leased out to other farmers. And so the Land Commission, as far as I can tell, is trying to stop that from being the problem that it has become. And so through that process, perhaps the Land Commission should be the ones to look at this and determine if this farmer needs the workers or not. I struggle to understand why local government still has to do this whole step in the process if we're no longer, it doesn't really make sense to me that, especially for a small one, I mean, when we're talking about dormitories and large facilities, I think it's important because we're talking about a land use decision and infrastructure perhaps that might be impacted by these things. But when we're talking about something like this, I struggle with it a little bit. And part of the reason that the new rules came into place, which are impacting a lot of farmers, is because so many residences have been built that aren't being used by farm workers. So I agree that agrologists are professionals and that they're doing their job. However, the industry has changed a lot, and it's hard to afford to hire someone to work on your farm when you're not even working on your farm full-time. So I don't know. I'm a little conflicted, I guess.
Councillor Van Alphen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm in the same boat. I struggle with this. The ALC decided that they wanted to take over this. I mean, in some ways, they've done some really good things. They've hired inspectors to inspect farm workers' accommodation, and a lot of these accommodations had to be brought up to code, which has been a really good thing. And so, it's only fair if you're hiring people that you're going to accommodate them in a suitable housing. So that's a good thing. This part here kind of confuses me. I'm hoping they get the results they want, but I think it would be better left to local government. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Carlson, I have just one question. In the financial implications of the report, it says that if they receive non-farm use permit from the ALC, they will apply for site-specific zoning. What would the site-specific zoning be?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, that was also on the last report. I believe that is an oversight and was just carried over from a previous report. My apologies.
Okay. No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Carlson.
Sorry, I just want to clarify something that Councillor Van Alphen just said. It's not the ALC that hires inspectors to look at anything. It's within the federal regulation for seasonal agricultural workers. And I had a meeting recently with some of the ALC, and the conversation went around to enforcement. And there is a lack of enforcement, and there's a lack of, there's a lot of rules. And as far as I can tell, there's not a lot of people enforcing those rules. And so it's a challenge that's going to continue. And one of the things the farmers don't need is another layer of regulation, at least the real farmers that need this, that need proper housing built for their employees. So.
Councillor Van Alphen? Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I may, to Mr. Taylor. You were saying that there was a 219 covenant going to be registered on this property in regards to this unit?
Madam Mayor, 219 covenant may be registered on the property.
Okay, if I may? Mm-hmm. So we were talking about municipal enforcement, so the 219 covenant would let the owner know, plus potential purchasers of that property, that this is to be used as farm worker housing. If it came by complaint to the municipality, would our bylaw enforcement wouldn't that fall within their scope to attend site to look and municipal fines if it's not meeting the intent of the 219?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe the intent behind registering a covenant on title was, until very recently, the zoning bylaw was not included in the ticketing bylaw. At this point, a 219 covenant may not be required, as it would be a covenant to, in essence, tell the owners of the land to follow the rules, which is now a ticketable offense. So a covenant may not be necessary in this case.
Thank you very much.
All right, any other questions? Okay. can't remember, have I asked for this to come forward already?
You have, Madam Mayor?
Okay, so we're ready to call the question then. All those in favor of this? Opposed? That its motion is carried. So, back to here. Item 11.4. Oh, lost my page again. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Councillor Barkle, did you still want to have a separate resolution to do with the Landry, about directing staff to bring back a report about the sod?
I thought that was a consensus opinion, was to direct staff to look into the relocating, to have discussions with the owner if they were successful. Is that?
Okay.
Do we need it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just the corporate officer.
So I'll make a motion directing staff to discuss with the potential purchaser, if they are successful, relocation options within the municipality.
Okay, seconder for that kind of supplementary resolution, Councillor Patton. Any discussion on this? All those in favor? And none opposed? No. Okay, so that's carried. Thank you very much, Jeremy. So on to 11.4, development permit DP 18-018 for 6011 Highway 97 in the Trout Creek Development Permit area. Is this yours again, Planner?
Yes, Madam
Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. Development permit DP 18-018 has been submitted to consider the form and character of a proposed motel located at 6011 Highway 97. This land is within the Trout Creek Development Permit area and is zoned highway commercial. Motel is a permitted use within this zone. No rezoning or variances are currently required for this proposal. The Trout Creek DPA was implemented to allow for consideration of certain elements of form and character at the southern gateway into Summerland. The proposed construction type and color scheme match and complement the established character of the existing development on the property. The existing development consists of a gas station with convenience store and a liquor store. The currently existing middle retail unit is not being used and will be decommissioned and removed as part of this development permit. The rear of the lot, where the proposed motel is sited, is currently being used as an outdoor storage area. According to the design guidelines, all buildings, structures, and parking areas should be sited to provide a minimum of a 5-meter wide landscape buffer abutting non-commercial zone plans. This is the second or third iteration of the siting to achieve this throughout the DP process. The immediately adjacent properties, zoned RSD3 and RSD2, appear to have their own cedar hedges for screening, which will provide an additional level of separation between the uses when the new buffer area is established. The 5-meter buffer area is subject to a landscaping plan, which will be serviced by a high-efficiency irrigation system and feature deciduous trees and mid to low water usage plants. A landscape security equaling 125% of the estimated value of the work will be collected prior to issuance of the development permit to ensure that the landscaping is completed in accordance with the supplied plan. The security will be in the amount of $28,856.88. The site has been designed to meet the parking requirements of the zoning bylaw. No variances to parking are anticipated at this time. Under Section 6 of the zoning bylaw, motel use require 1 parking space per sleeping unit for a total of 24 spaces and are shown in blue. Gas station uses require 2.5 stalls per 100 square meters of gross floor area for a total of 3 in green. Retail stores require the same amount for 6 in orange, and 1 loading space is required and is shown in yellow. The permit application has been referred to internal departments with the following feedback. Works and utilities will require water and sewer modeling, and a new hydrant will likely be required as well as upgrading to site servicing. The electrical department has indicated that the three-phase overhead electrical will need to be converted to underground. There's also an electrical box on the property that can be moved if required. The fire department has expressed concerns regarding the propane tank on the road right-of-way. A requirement of the development permit is the submission of permission from Technical Safety BC to allow the propane tank to remain in its current proximity, in its current location in proximity to the motel. The building inspector has also raised some concerns over fire separation. This will be addressed at time of building permit and may slightly alter the layout of the structure for safety. The form and character will still be required to substantially match this submission. The application adheres to the design guidelines of the Trout Creek Development Permit Area, and staff recommend that, subject to receipt of the landscaping security, DP 18-018 be approved.
Thank you. Questions of our planner? Councillor Traynor.
I just have a question about that property. It's been a gas station for several decades, and I'm wondering about contamination, possible contamination on that property.
Under provincial regulation, Madam Mayor, they will be required to, they will be required to do a site survey, I believe it's called, or site analysis
No, you're correct.
Site profile, thank you, in order to determine the viability of the site. Thank you.
Can I ask one more question? Also, right now, that property is being used to store U-Haul trucks on it. Did the owners indicate anything about where they plan to put those trucks, or if that's going to continue to be part of their business?
Madam Mayor, the site, if developed in this capacity, will not have the capacity for that business. The relocation of a business was not something that was discussed as part of the development permit.
Councillor Carlson.
So I know that electric vehicles are something that we haven't gotten around to talking about too much in our zoning bylaws and our parking bylaws and things like that. I'm just curious as to whether it's possible to prepare, when starting something like this from scratch, for the likelihood that by 2030 or sooner, the majority of vehicles on our roads, especially on short trips through the Okanagan and through our province, will be requiring somewhere to hook up. Is that something that can be discussed at this time, or is that something that the applicant should be cognizant of and do on their own?
Madam Mayor, the zoning bylaw does have a provision for electric vehicle charging stations. Section 6.2.3 requires a minimum of 10% of the parking spaces required according to the use categories for townhouse housing and apartment housing. If expanding that is something that council would like to consider, we can look at that at the zoning bylaw review as well.
Would it be something that we could apply to a new build like this at this time, or not?
Madam Mayor, the Local Government Act is clear about the requirements for development permits. That has to be considered in the design guidelines in the official community plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? Councillor Holmes.
Yes, I was quite surprised, or not surprised, I was enlightened to learn that color scheme is called grilled cheese. But I wanted to ask about the propane tank and the process of that. I think that the location of the propane tank right now is pretty is quite sketchy already, I would say, and when you consider the increased traffic that's going to be there with the motel. So you mentioned that it'll be reviewed by a provincial agency of some sort, I guess it is?
Yeah. Madam Mayor, as a condition of the permit, staff are requiring that the application submit something from Technical Safety BC, which used to be known as the BC Safety Authority, to ensure that the classification of the propane tank hasn't changed due to the temporary residential occupancy.
So just to follow up, so basically we're saying that if it's okay with Technical Safety BC, it's okay with us?
That's correct, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Trainer.
With regards to the hotel itself, is there, what are the rules around monthly rentals in Summerland?
Again, going back to the campground, it does say for temporary accommodation of the traveling public. Temporary is, again, not clearly defined in the zoning bylaws. So generally, it is for a period of 30 days. That may be something that we have to look at, again, in the zoning bylaw review.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Councillor
When the liquor store and gas station were painted yellow, did those have to come to council for form and character? I don't remember.
Madam Mayor, I believe that DP earlier in 2018 was submitted for the first phase of the development.
It included the
Including the
color
color
and
scheme?
I don't remember the color scheme, I just wonder if that,
I've got it right here.
I think my suggestion would be to limit the amount of grilled cheese as much as possible.
Madam Mayor, the design guidelines don't speak specifically to color schemes and what may be permitted and not permitted. It speaks to complementary to the rest of the site.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions of the planner? Could I ask someone to bring forward the motion that has been recommended there, please? Or a different motion. Councillor Van Elfen.
So moved, Madam Mayor, as presented.
Thank you, and,
Just a question.
could you just,
Oh, yeah,
just
you need
get a
to-
seconder, please? Councillor Patton, and go
Sorry, it's
fire
something
away.
I was thinking about before. When a motel is being built in a residential neighborhood, what kind of DCC and community amenity conversation happens? Does it, sidewalks and all of the stuff that we talk about when we're talking about other things, is that something that the planning department is working through with the developer?
Madam Mayor, that will be determined at time of building permit as to what requirements of the development servicing bylaw are triggered by this structure. Again, referrals did go out internally, and certain things like the undergrounding of the three-phase power was discussed. Will be discussed in further detail when a building permit, finalized building permit is submitted.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Holmes, did you have a question?
No, just a comment on the motion. We heard from the Chamber of Commerce last week about the shortage of hotel rooms in this community, and I think this is a good start to make a dent in that. So.
Councillor Trainer?
I do have some concerns about this development. I don't think it fits in this location. I think that it will be very cramped. I think locating a motel behind a gas station and a liquor store doesn't really flow well with the rest of Trout Creek, especially the fact that there's a housing development that's underway right now, right next to it, and it's surrounded by houses. I also think that it will add a lot of traffic, and we already have issues on Johnson Street because we don't have proper sidewalks, and there's an elementary school, and a lot of kids and parents walk that way, and it's already sketchy walking down there. So I don't mind the gas station and the liquor store. I think that they're good, but I just think that cramming in a motel on that property is not a good fit for the neighborhood.
Okay, Councillor Trainer, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, I will call the question then. All those in favor? Opposed? Councillor Traynor and Councillor Carlson. So that motion is carried. 11.5, Planning Introductory Report of May 2019. Over to the planner, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is just an introductory report. Staff have received an application for rezoning to facilitate a 3-lot subdivision at 5010 Croyle Avenue to rezone the property from RSD2 to RSD1. The application is currently under initial review. Internal referrals have been sent out. Staff recommend that council direct staff to process the application for further consideration, and a draft bylaw will be presented at first reading.
Councillor Carlson?
I'll move the motion as presented.
Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. It's just is the direction for staff to bring us more information as they process this. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. 11.6, Simea Board Appointments. Is this for you, CAO?
Actually, Your Worship, what I was going to suggest is that, as mayor, ask council if they want an appointment, and whoever makes a suggestion, rather than CAO, I think it's more appropriate for council to choose.
Alrighty, thank you. So Simea stands for Southern Interior Municipal Employers Association, and our former CAO, Linda Tynan, was our representative. Actually, she kind of represented council, and our HR manager, Marnie Manders, also sits on that. CAO Tynan had the voting position on that, and Marnie is more of an administrative one. So now that I filled in for CAO Tynan when she was away, and so the appointment has come forward with me staying on as the Summerland representative, representing council, and that a councillor be appointed as an alternative. Now, my understanding is that there really is one kind of all get-together meeting, and it was in Kelowna, for the AGM every year, and then usually every 3 to 4 months, then there will be a phone call. There's more work for the administrative members of Simea to do than there is for the employer side. So, having said all of that, is there anyone that would like to be appointed as my alternate on Simea? Don't all jump at once.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not sure if I can answer it, but
So is it normal that elected officials are members of this board, or is it more normal that staff are?
It's normal, if there is such a thing, that there be an elected official and a staff person. But when we were talking about appointments in November, our CAO suggested that she remain in that position on council's behalf. So she had a voting voice. So to answer your question, usually there is a councillor or an elected official and staff. Usually the person that's involved with benefits and payroll and that kind of stuff.
So just to clarify, so Marnie is on the board already then?
Yes, she is.
And so this would be the alternate to you if you can't make the meeting, right?
Yes,
Okay.
just so that we have a voting representation.
Right.
Okay. Councillor Patton.
I will volunteer.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second that.
Okay, before he changes his mind, all in favor? Thank you. You probably never will have to fill in a physical presence, but perhaps on the phone, so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship, and I didn't mean to throw a monkey wrench, but generally speaking, I think it's important that if it's an elected body, that it doesn't have administration intermixed, although given the nature of this, it does have, and so when this came forward, I suggested that we put it on the agenda and have council decide. Ultimately, you could have decided to volunteer somebody else, but I think this actually is cleaner, so thank you.
Thank you. So could I have someone bring that resolution forward then?
Which one?
The one, the Simea one? Oh, no, we just did that. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just...
Did you do the energy leadership?
But we have to go on to 11.7, and that is the new item for the agenda. Community Energy Leadership Program Expression of Interest for a Council Champion. Are you taking care of this, CAO? Does this come from Tammy?
Yes, Your Worship, and again, it's certainly my recommendation to council that if council needs someone picked, that council chooses the representative as opposed to staff suggesting a particular council. I just think it's better that council chooses who council would like to have represented.
Absolutely. Has everyone had the chance to read this? We just, Councillor Van Elfen?
No, sorry, Madam Mayor, I
sorry.
didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to check and make sure everyone has had the chance to read this, because I haven't. So if we could just take a couple of minutes, and then I'll have a look.
I don't think they do anything. I think they're the champion.
Yeah, you just have to be...
nominate
Okay, so Councillor Holmes, are you interested in...
Well, I'd be happy to do it, but wouldn't it make more sense to whoever the liaison to our Climate Action Committee would be?
Just to add to that, I think that I'm the person for something that we've never had to do anything for, but I'm no longer the liaison on the committee, so I think it could be anybody. Because my name is out there on one of the programs that Tammy's working on as the council person, so I would...
I agree. I think it could be anyone.
Yeah. I'll nominate Erin Traynor. She's a homeowner and needs to learn about retrofitting new windows.
1960s
That's
Buffalo.
right, yeah. Opportunity.
Councillor, are you interested in that? Councillor Van Elfen?
I'd second that motion for sure.
It doesn't look like we have to do anything, like it's just our name.
Good
Right.
champion.
You're a champion it.
Champion this.
Vibrant, resilient communities.
Yeah.
Okay, could I have someone read that resolution and insert Councillor Erin Trainor's name, please?
I will move that Councillor Erin Traynor be appointed as the council champion for the District of Summerland's expression of interest for funding through the Community Energy Leadership Program.
Excellent. Seconder? Councillor Patton? All in favor? Great. Thank you, Councillor Traynor. Okay, item 12 is 12.1 correspondence information items. Is there anyone other than myself that wants to bring something forward from the correspondence? Okay, so I'm interested in item 3. It's a letter from the Okanagan Basin Water Board, and it talks about reducing the conflict between native mussel protection and invasive milfoil control in the Okanagan. And as a director of the Okanagan Basin Water Board, I'll just fill you in a little bit. As you know, in Summerland, along our lake shore, we have the Rocky Mountain Ridged mussel, which is well, there's some debate actually on whether or not it truly is a native species, but at this point, it's considered native by the province. And we also have the invasive Eurasian milfoil. Previously, so a number of years back, we would see rototillers or harvesters on the water, and they do two different things. Harvesters just cut off the milfoil, so the plant is still alive, it's still rooted in the floor of the lake. And rototillers actually take the root out, which effectively, destroys the plant. Because the province wants to protect the Rocky Mountain ridge mussel, they have restricted the use of rototilling in the areas where the Rocky Mountain ridge mussel have been found, and you can only harvest in there, you can no longer rototill. However, the milfoil is becoming rampant again and is growing, it grows very rapidly, and it's actually surfacing above the water now, and which affects our tourism. And there are studies that show that by harvesting the milfoil, you're actually creating a better environment, a better habitat for the Rocky Mountain ridge mussels. That's pretty much what this letter states. So they, on the second page, fairly close to the bottom, just before the paragraph that says we have provided extensive information in the letter, it is requesting that our local government, so us, consider providing a letter of support for their request to the ministers authorizing the OBWB milfoil derooting program to continue. So I'm bringing this forward, asking if there would be support at this council table to direct staff to submit a letter on our behalf. So this is an agreement, or did you want to speak to this?
It's an agreement, but I have a...
Okay, Councillor Carlson.
In the document that I read, it suggested that Crescent Beach and Rotary Beach would be unable to be rototilled, and I think that there's an argument there for the strong investment we've just made into Rotary Beach to making sure that it's still swimmable and people can enjoy that. There's a lot of area that people cannot swim or do not swim that I think we could perhaps reach some sort of compromise if they're willing to have a conversation with us. So that should be part of what we're telling them in our letter.
Thank you.
I would suggest. Thank you.
Other comments? Councillor Van Elfen and Councillor Holmes.
Are they looking for additional funding from us, or?
No, they're just looking for support to be able to continue that rototilling program.
I think it's a program that
Reinstitute
needs
it.
to continue, because years ago, the milfoil was rampant, quite bad, and then we started these programs, and it's helped. It's definitely going to hamper our tourism in the future if we don't try to stay on top of this issue.
Councillor Holmes.
Yeah, just want to say that the OBWB meeting that I attended, they were talking about how some of these areas that they've been rototilling for years, they've found an abundance of Rocky Mountain ridge mussels in the areas that they're already rototilling. So it kind of doesn't make sense to stop rototilling, because it's obviously good for the mussels. And I just also want to mention at the last RDOS board meeting, we received the same letter, and the board agreed to provide a letter of support. So it's it's going around the region. So I'd agree with that. We should send a letter as well.
Thank you. So do I need a resolution for that, or?
Sorry, I was distracted there.
Sorry, to request that staff prepare a letter for, yes? Okay.
I'll make that resolution.
Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Van Elfen. Any further discussion on that piece of correspondence? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jeremy. Anything else from the correspondence or information items? All right, could I have someone bring forward that resolution then to receive that for information? Councillor Carlson, Councillor Holmes, all in favor? Okay, so that's carried as well. And the same for 12.2, committee commission minutes. Is there anything that anyone has found that is inaccurate or needs some clarification? Is missing? All right, could I have someone bring forward that motion to receive? Councillor Patton and Councillor Barkwool, all in favor? And none opposed. Okay, on to councillor reports. Councillor Van Alphen, you're not looking at me, so I'm going to ask you to go first.
Thank you.
Your bath.
My bath. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Had the absolute honor to attend the royalty pageant on the Friday night and the Saturday night. First time I've ever attended, and man, was I impressed. What a wonderful event. I was told by some of the organizers we had about 96 participants or royalty people from up and down the valley, from all over the Okanagan. Some young men who are ambassadors in this program, so that was pretty cool. They had over 96 royalty participants there, plus their chaperones. Some of them stayed at the Waterfront Resort, and they ate at the local restaurant in Lower Town and did some activities in our downtown core. So definitely some wonderful spin-off. And the part that really impressed me the most was some of the pictures of our royalty and the different communities that they go and are ambassadors for us. So that was pretty cool. Went to the safety breakfast, couldn't miss that. And the SILGA conference I thought was exceptional, and I thought it was very, very well run. And I really enjoyed my time there, and some great seminars. Went to the solar presentation at Center Stage Theatre, and again, I think staff did a marvelous job presenting, and it was quite interesting. And last but not least, I was asked to sit in a dunk tank for a Giants Head School fundraiser.
Thank you for saving me.
Yeah, and a lot of fun had by all. Lots of people coming through the door, and I believe I was told that there was $5,100 raised that evening for Giants Head School for an outside learning center, and just a phenomenal evening, and lots of kids, and I did have to swim a few times. It was a good time.
Good, thank you very much. Councillor Carlson?
I think you've been a little busier than me. This past weekend, I went to the BC Library Trustees Association meeting in Surrey this year, and it was an interesting day, well attended. The one thing that every time I go to this event and every time you talk to library people, there's a theme, and it's really cool. They always talk about inclusion, accessibility, reconciliation, and they actually mean it. It's really cool because they're actually doing things about it, and librarians always, it's because they're willing to take on new things and to make change and to always be learning. And so I hope I will continue to get to keep going to these. I was also fortunate enough to be put back on the board of the BCLTA for the next 2 years. I was off of it last year, and I was on it 2 years prior to that. So hopefully I will be able to contribute something to the advocacy and outreach of library trustees and public libraries throughout our province, because as we know, they're critical spaces in our communities, so we should be having a conversation sometime about our library, because we don't directly fund it through our tax, and I think that it's worth remembering when we have our conversations about culture and about community space that our library is critical, and I don't remember talking about it recently, so I just put that out there for us to dwell on. And don't forget to use the library. That's it.
Thank you. Councillor Holmes?
Yeah, thank you. I also attended the SILGA convention, and I was just wondering if, as one of the organizers, Madam Mayor, if you could pass on to SILGA how well organized I thought it was. It was excellent. It was very well and some really good sessions. And Congratulations to yourself for being elected the second vice president of SILGA. Thank you. That's great for our community, I think. Unfortunately, the resolution that we put forward didn't pass. It was probably, though, had the most robust discussion, debate, and it was really close. And I think we should discuss that resolution ourselves and revisit it. And look, I think we can tweak it and with the view of bringing it to UBCM, because I think it's important to us. And certainly hearing the discussion at SILGA, why some of the people couldn't support it, it got me thinking a bit, and I have some ideas of what we could do. At the RDOS last week, one thing of interest that came out that we might be interested local here is that the RDOS is applying to the province for license of occupation for the KVR trail between Falder and Osprey Lake. This doesn't really change anything because they already have a partnership agreement with the province. They've had one since 2011 for the operations and maintenance of the trail, but this just provides the RDOS with the legal access to manage that trail. So that's it's good to know.
Is that portion non-motorized?
I doubt it.
It's motorized? It's motorized.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Councillor Traynor.
The only thing I have to report tonight is Councillor Holmes and I are continuing to work with some students at Summerland Secondary. We have another meeting tomorrow. We're trying to help them get a student council going, which would likely take off next year, but we're trying to kind of plant the roots now. And so we're meeting with some of them tomorrow, and then we're going to have another group meeting, and then they're going to come to our committee of the whole meeting, I believe, on May 27th, and do a short presentation about ways that we can communicate with students, and so I'm really looking forward to that. So Doug and I have been working on that.
I think it's the full group tomorrow.
Oh.
Doug knows.
We'll find
out.
Just so the two of you know, there, in the last few days, 2 things have been sent on. I think I CC'd you on one of them at least. One of them was the banner program. Is that the one I CC'd you in? Anyways, there's the opportunity perhaps, and Ellen's going to take it to the group, about them helping the CDC judge the banners for the program, be jurists. And the other thing was, SILGA is looking for youth that would like to go to UBCM with SILGA. We put funds aside every year for up to 3 students to go. And the one we had last year from Salmon was absolutely amazing. So if there's any, you can speak more about that on our behalf, that would be great. Nice to have someone from Summerland go.
Could I just add something? So at SILGA, there was a really good session on youth councils, and with presentations from Salmon Arm, Kamloops, and Clearwater, I believe, talking about theirs. And it was a really good discussion about youth councils, because there's quite a few other communities who are starting them up. And we actually talked about having the students going to UBCM is great, but they could also, closer to home, we could do something with SILGA, with if we're all creating these youth councils, we could have some youth delegates coming to SILGA. So that was discussed as well, and they kind of wrote me into helping out with that. So.
That sounds good to me.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the last KVR board meeting, I'm really pleased to announce that the 2 Easter trains were both sold out, which was in excess of 600 passengers. So it was phenomenal. I know they were running the Mother's Day train, but I don't have numbers for that yet. Need to thank the district. I know Corey, our Director of Development Services, for working on a letter of significance for the KVR for their funding. And I know David, our Director of Finance, working on the tax exempt status for the KVR, which is fantastic. Kudos to staff for working diligently on that. I was also at SOGA. I enjoyed it immensely, and I thank the municipality for allowing me to go, and it was fantastic. I didn't even know there was a fish hatchery at PIB, and it was unbelievable. It was fantastic. And again, the solar presentation was done very well by staff, and I enjoyed that, and that's all I have to report.
Councillor Barker, before you get started, thank you for attending our DOS meeting for me last week.
Oh, you're welcome. It was interesting. As we discussed earlier, there's information that's come out of in-camera concerning the site selection or proposed selection for community discussion and involvement, and I would like to see additional information concerning the financial implications of the various alternative sites. And so I've put together a notice of motion for a motion requesting staff to provide additional information. So this, rather succinctly, is we need some financial information. The notice of motion, though, isn't so succinct, and I'll read it out in its entirety. So, whereas the district has brought forward for public discussion a proposed site for a solar farm on the Toe of Cartwright, the staff be directed to prepare a report that provides a value of the site and surrounding land as mixed residential land and equivalent land around the Summerland Reservoir and north of the Summerland landfill that are other potential locations, and that this report include the additional cost of running power lines to the reservoir and north of the landfill site, and furthermore, that the report should include the potential for expansion at each location. So hopefully we see that on the agenda for discussion next week, or 2 weeks.
And could you pass that off
Sure.
to the CAO?
They can read my
please, and then
writing.
we can
I typed it out at home and then forgot it.
Okay. By email would be just
Oh, yeah.
great. Yeah. So that's the end of your report then, Councillor Barker?
Yeah, well, I attended Silga and those, and thanks for all your hard work. You're the hardest working mayor, I think, in the valley.
Well, maybe, but, I know that I've got the support of all of you, so it's a pleasure. All right, so now time for the public to come to the podium if they have something they'd like to speak about. Again, 2 minutes. And Janet, you're all alone back there. Thank you for hanging out with us. John, do you have anything? Nope. Good. All right, so could I have someone call for adjournment, please? Councillor Holmes and Van Elfen, all in favor? Excellent. Thank you.